Good afternoon. I am in Ontario on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, Ojibwe, and Chippewa people. My name is Patrice Bowler. I am a settler, and my ancestors were Scottish, English, and Ukrainian. I was born and raised on Salt Spring Island on the west coast of Canada, which is home to the Saanich, Cowichan, and Chemainus First Nations. I am a movement director, choreographer, performer, and I have been a friend to and collaborator with you, Corey Payette, for 12 years now. I have been so immensely fortunate to witness and be participant in the incredible work you have done since you arrived on the West Coast. And so if you could please tell us who you are, where you come from, and all the amazing things that you do.
Oh, thanks, Patrice. Ni Corey Dishnakas. My name is Corey. My father's from the Matagami First Nations in Northern Ontario. That's Oji Cree territory. And I'm also French Canadian and Irish. And I'm a playwright. I'm a composer. I'm a director. And I'm the artistic director of Urban Inc. and Raven Theatre. And I am an artist in residence for this Eagle Estates residency. I'm here on the unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations, and I'm very grateful for their past and future caretakers of this land, for their elders and the youth that are still to come. So that we're able to enjoy this beautiful, beautiful West Coast land. So miigwech, thanks Patrice for hosting this conversation.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. Now, I'm thinking back on our history together, and I remember reading the stage directions at the first ever full read through of Children of God. I also was able to play one of Dracula's three wives in one of Raven Theatre Company's early pieces, Young Dracula, which was a part of Fire Hall's BC Buds Spring Arts Festival. And then, of course, I had the honor of getting to be movement director of Les Filles du Roi, written by yourself, and the incredible Julie McIsaac, which was a fugue theater and Raven Theatre production in association with Urban Inc. and the Cultch. I also had the wonderful experience of working as a puppeteer and running crew member for Sedna, an immersive theater production co-created by Marshall McMahon, Renalta Arluck, and yourself. And it was commissioned, produced, and developed by Urban Inc., and was originally co-produced by Caravan Farm Theatre, where it made its world premiere back in 2018. So lots of time we've spent together, working together, that I'm just so, so grateful for. So I would like to touch on the history of the residency you are currently doing, which is one of the City of Burnaby's Deer Lake Artists in Residencies, supported by the Shadbolt Centre for the Arts and the Burnaby Art Gallery. So the Shadbolt has spent the last decade providing residencies for artists with a focus of dance and theater. The property has 2 theaters on site, as well as several dance studios and a visual arts space. When the new services manager, David Jordan, was brought on back in 2017, he learned that the houses on the lake had been empty for around 10 years, and he felt that they should be used. So the wheels were put into motion to give a new purpose to these beautiful historic buildings. So the early work began back in 2017, and this year marks the official debut of the Baldwin House and the Eagles Estate as the Deer Lake Artists in Residencies. In recent years, the Shadbolt has been focusing on offering these residencies and spaces to BIPOC and LGBTQ2SA+ identifying artists, which is really, really exciting. Now this year, due to COVID-19, there is an effort to diversify the way art is shared, and many theater companies are turning to the creation of digital media so that they can continue to provide work for artists while our industry is ultimately on pause. And that is why we are meeting here today through Zoom, which is a platform I think everyone is growing accustomed to. So I am very grateful to be able to be here with you to learn about all the incredible things that you are up to and have been up to during your stay there. So could you tell us about your time spent at the Eagles Estate and share with me the value of what time and space a residency can offer an artist?
Well, it's been an amazing couple months. I've been here since March 3rd. And what I think most about this place is that I've had such a fruitful creative life around these waters. Back in the day, Julie McIsaac and I wrote Les Filles du Roi at the Shadbolt Centre. So I came and I did a lot of my writing of the music and script in those little studios overlooking the lake. And then now to return to this residency and be here on the other side of the lake, and also have this really fruitful creative time here. It's been extraordinary. I've walked around the lake. I have been able to be outside and connected to nature in a way that I don't always get to be. And I've also managed to create a lot of work. I've written 7 new songs and 1 adjusted song, so let's call it 8. And I've gone back into the scripts that I've been developing and have come out of this time with a great deal of work. So it feels like a really wonderful time spent.
Amazing. Yeah, you've been able to work in residencies in the past, including being the artist in residence with English theatre at the National Art Centre in Ottawa. And as artistic director of Urban Inc., you've been able to offer residencies to other artists in the community. By doing this, you probably have a good sense of what someone may need while devising new work or continuing a work in progress. Now, in this case, you have had this opportunity to work alone in that gorgeous space. Now, I know that the original concept was to have the house full of artists that would be working on their individual projects, but would then have the opportunity to come together to share their work and receive feedback from one another. Of course, with the current state of things, this was put on hold for the time being. Do you think that it has been beneficial having that space to yourself? And if it had been possible, would you have liked to share that space with other artists during your time there?
Well, I've been here all alone, so this big 4-bedroom house all to myself, and it's been amazing. I have loved the time here. I don't know how it would work with other people. I think especially because I am a composer, and a singer and a drummer. Like I have a drum over there, and so I think that like for other writers, if there were other people in this house, I think that they would be like, we need time to ourselves. Like I don't know if those combinations would work, so I wouldn't necessarily be a great candidate for like a shared household, unless they're like really into piano music at late in the night. But it's tricky. I think for a book writer, maybe that would be a different story. But for me, it's been really amazing to have this time alone. And I know that for all the different residencies that I've had in the past, and also for the different artist residencies that I've supported through Urban Inc., I know that every residency is different. And what was unique about this time is that I was here for so long. Like normally, I think the longest residency I've had was at the Banff Centre, and I was there for 3 weeks. And that was like great. It was lovely. And I loved it. But that was like the longest I'd ever done. And I've done other week-long stints here and there, but this was 2 months. And so just that length of time to be able to focus on writing and to spend time with writing and creation as my main objective has been extraordinary. So I don't know how it could have been different in these times, but I'm very, very grateful that to be asked to be here, and that it's been such a creative time.
Awesome. Now I know you touched on how amazing it's been to walk that land and be surrounded by that, beautiful nature that you're in. And so I just want to kind of dig into that a bit deeper. So how has the atmosphere of the house and the surrounding area impacted your work? Is there a story you could maybe share about an experience you had in regards to the environment around you?
That's a great question. I think part of what's been what's been really great is a dedicated creation space. I think any writer can tell you that how basically when you're working out of your apartment, it's really difficult to find that separation or even inspiration to be able to sit down and write for the day, especially after having been, because I ever since COVID, we've all been working from home. And so I've been in my apartment by myself for a year. So it has been, it's been something that I definitely needed this time away. And I would say it's been everything. Like, something that I do, well, and that also, is that I record myself. So I have my phone, I record myself singing something, I record myself saying something or a scene material or whatever, and then I'll go for a walk and I'll just like listen to it like a crazy person on loop, and just start to sing and start to put lyrics to it, start to find my way in the writing. And that has been amazing to do here, where it's right outside my door and I can just go out there, and it's like the accessibility to the trails and to the land is really great. And then another thing is that they've just opened up the rentals of the paddle boats or pedal boats.
Uh-huh.
And so we went out there last weekend and got to pedal around the lake, and
Amazing.
it was extraordinary. And I guess that's not so much related to my creative time, that's just like my life, but part of this is about your life. You need to be in a good place, mentally, emotionally, physically, to be able to write creative work. And so that aspect of it has really been a great influence on the work itself.
I totally know what you mean. Like this year, having to get used to creating almost exclusively in your own space has been a really big, well, challenge for me personally, because when I'm at home, I am just the biggest procrastinator. I will look around the house for anything to do, but actual work, be like, oh, I should just wash this dish, or I should scrub that, or oh, the TV's on accidentally. So, it's been a big learning curve being like, well, I'm trapped inside. I have to make this work. So it's great that there are still these beautiful spaces that are accessible to artists so that they can get away, from sort of the daily routine and find this place to create, and the
Well,
solitude that comes with that.
and in the beginning of when everything locked down in COVID, I also wrote a lot then, because it was we didn't know when this was going to end, and it was
Yeah.
like everyone was at home. And so I did actually find going home, that to be a very fruitful creative time. But then as the months stretched into a year, it was like, I can't keep, I just lost that inspiration. And so this time has really been a rekindling of that. And the other thing is I don't know if you can relate to this, but I also have this like a bit of a headspace when I go into writing again after a long stretch where I haven't done it, where I think, will I ever write another song? Will lyrics ever come? Will music ever come? And so by putting myself in this sort of position where this is my time to create, this is my time to write, it also means that you can't escape it. It's that it doesn't matter what it's going to be. You're there to do this. You're there to create. And so that's been really, a great gift of this time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, you are. You're this magnificent playwright, director, composer. And ever since I have known you, you have always been in the process of conjuring the next inspiring and important piece of work. During your time at the Eagles Estate, you've been focusing on your new production titled Rebellion. So can you tell me a little bit more about this piece and maybe how it has evolved during your time there?
No, no, just kidding.
Nope, you've gone too far this time, Bowler.
No, it's been great. It's so the show is about an indigiqueer two-spirit drag queen who discovers and deepens their connection to culture through the art of drag. And so I had already, the show's been in development for many years, and I've been writing it. So I had 7 songs written or 8 songs written prior to coming in, and then I wanted to complete it while I've been here, and I've done that. And so that's been the main focus of my work. And then also, so I'm done on Wednesday, and I have a workshop of Rebellion starting on Thursday. So a whole group of actors, a whole team, we're all on Zoom, all working remotely. But I feel so great that this time was really used to the fullest, so that I felt like I'm leaving it with a fresh draft, with a lot of new music, and with a lot of really exciting new things to share.
Speaking of sharing, do you think you might want to share some of that music that you have created in this time with us?
Yeah, of course. So this is a song that I wrote that is from the second act of Rebellion, and it's called "This Broken Mess." And it's just about when things all fall apart, and when it's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel. It kind of reminds me of the situation that we're in now with the world. But it is that feeling of there's beauty, there's sadness, there's darkness, but well, no, there really isn't an uplifting turn to it. It really is just a little bit of a sweet, sad song. But
You just have to
but
see the show.
exactly. But that's what I wanted to share with everyone today. So here it is. This broken mess, well, it's for you. This broken mess to start brand new. Everywhere I look, I see your face. Everything we had was in this place. When people can knock you down, they just don't care. They know you'll be around even when he's not there. Don't let your doubt shut out your need. You can go off, you can be free. What will be left of a legacy? This broken mess of a family.
Thank you for that so much. Thank you. Now, I know that language reclamation has played a huge part in your work over the years, Corey. I remember at the beginning of the rehearsal process for Les Filles du Roi, the creative team and the lead cast members were flown out to Ontario to attend a workshop at the Native North American Traveling College in Akwesasne, which lies on the Canadian and US border in between Ontario, Quebec, and New York State. We were taking these lessons with this extraordinary elder named Mabel and spent several days learning the Iroquoian language of Geniingaha. Now, as that language was heavily featured in the script of Les Filles, Can you speak to how language reclamation and the passing along of languages has affected your work as an artist and creative leader over the years, and why this has been so important to you?
Well, I think language holds so much culture. It holds so much history. It holds so much worldview and perspective, especially as it relates to learning indigenous languages where they're based on connection, relationship, and it it helps so much, not only for me as a writer and as a creative person, but also to know that we all have roles to play in this language reclamation. And so putting it into Les Filles du Roi, it's exciting to me because it's holding the language of Ghanaian as an equal to English and French. And so it's not a lost, forgotten language. It's a language that still exists today and still is around today. And there are many people who speak it. And so for me, that's a great reminder, and that's a great thing to feature in the work. And then, in terms of the other shows, like in Children of God, having Anishinaabe in the script, and that's I'm not a fluent speaker of any of these languages, but I think that for me, what's important is that the characters are speaking and singing something that is truthful to them, and then finding a way to root that in the story, so that we're not just telling the same story, that we have new ways of exploring the story. And some of that exploration is through indigenous land reclamation or language reclamation.
Yeah, it was such an incredible experience. I loved going there. I loved hearing the language, and just to know that that was even, possible for us to do before we started the rehearsal process, to be there, to witness it, to work with this woman. Like it was this really incredible experience, and just really felt so important. And so I yeah, I enjoyed that time so much. I wish I could say that I retained a lot of the language we learned, but it was so beautiful to be learning it. Now, so all of this leads into my next point, which is that today is a very special day, not only because you and I are able to have this time together, but today it was announced that you are to receive the BC Award for Reconciliation from the Honorable Janet Austin, Lieutenant Governor of British Columbia. This award recognizes extraordinary individuals and organizations who have demonstrated exceptional leadership, integrity, respect, and commitment to furthering reconciliation with Indigenous peoples in the province of British Columbia, or inspired others to continue reconciliation efforts. This was a jury-selected award, which you will be receiving at the Government House in Victoria in September of this year, if it should be safe to do so. Now, how does it feel after all of your work you have done and continue to do for reconciliation in Canada, helping to heal communities affected by assimilation, encouraging people all across the nation to become allies, to join the conversation through tireless education and reshaping of the platforms and models of how this important content is absorbed and delivered? How does it feel to be acknowledged in this way, and what does it mean for you and your work in the future?
Well, wow, that is a lot of that. That's a lot to take and hear. And I thank you for acknowledging me in such a way. I don't feel worthy of that, of all of that. But because I think it's, well, first off, I do feel like it's an award that's acknowledging all of us who have been doing this. And anyone who's worked with me knows that it's not, this top down approach of that I'm just telling everyone what to do. It really is a collaboration. It's relationships. It's understanding that each voice is worthy and valued. And I think part of what the audience feels when they come to our shows is a feeling that they're being held in a way that this really tough content is going to be explored, but it's going to be explored through love and generosity and respect. And so in terms of the award, I'm just so thrilled that the arts are being acknowledged as having a role to play in reconciliation, and also more broadly that this award exists to show people that good work is happening, and that reconciliation is possible, and that there are many different examples of how that's working all across the country, not just in the arts. But I think that for me, stories are healing and songs are healing. And so to know that award is being given to not only a theater artist, but also like musical theater, right? It's exciting to me, and I feel a great hope for the future, and that it tells me that we're on the right track, and that the work that we're all doing in terms of these shows, Children of God, Les Filles du Roi, Sedna, and then the future shows that I'm writing, that people are noticing, and that people are seeing the impacts that sharing these stories are having. And so it just tells me, like, keep at it, keep going. The work is good, and people are noticing. And so I'm very humbled and grateful.
And every time that I've worked with you, I have felt that sense of worth. And I really feel like you do give that to the people around you, your community, your collaborators, the people who you're directing. I really have just felt that. I feel like, the artists who are working with you are going forward with this idea of self-worth that I've never really experienced in our industry. And that is just so special to me, to see other people carrying that forward. And it is a huge honor.
But that's what it's all about, right? I think, and that's what I want to leave people with these shows, is that it is a personal journey that each person has to take. And for you, or for an audience member, or for me, all of those journeys are going to be different. And however someone comes to reconciliation, whether it's in the story of their family or a personal story of their interaction with Indigenous people, those are all valid ways of engaging with these ideas. And then I think beyond that, those are the inspirations behind doing the work. But I think that then the work has to do with public policy, has to do with healthcare and different Indigenous programs to try to start to heal some of the damage that's been done. And so I think when I'm talking about the inspiration that Children of God provides, I think that is just the inspiration. That isn't, Children of God is not reconciliation. Children of God is to inspire people to start that journey from wherever they're at, and to make those personal contributions to create a better world for Indigenous and non-Indigenous relations.
And to do the work, which is just a huge part of it. Yeah, I was reading a bit and seeing that there were a small handful of people who were also going to be receiving this award. And it was so great to see that, people coming from all walks of life and all different backgrounds and different careers. And it's just so special that the arts is being recognized in this. And so congratulations. You deserve it. I'm so happy for you. It's so exciting. Now, I'd like to say a big thank you to the Shadbolt Centre for the Arts, the City of Burnaby, and the Burnaby Art Gallery for making the residencies like the one you're doing possible, as well as Mayor Hurley and the Burnaby City Council for their support. The work is also supported by the Assistant Director of Cultural Services, Dennis Nakoni. And I would personally like to thank Shauna Fowler and you, Corey, for asking me to facilitate this chat today. It has been an honor and a pleasure. I mean, chatting with you whenever I can is always an honor and a pleasure. And lastly, some elders of several of the surrounding nations were invited for a pipe ceremony to ask permission and blessing for the resident artist's work and for this project. And they are Shane Point, Sam George, Fabian Williams George, Malihapwa Gwen Therine, Laura Linklater, Randy Geddes, Stacy Gallagher, and Delina Bytel. Is there anything else you would like to cover today before we finish our chat, Corey?
No, I just wanted to say thank you to you, Patrice, and of course to Shauna and everyone at the Shadbolt. It's been a real privilege and a treat to be here, and I hope to be back someday. Miigwech.